clock. Just bump that. Oh. Yeah. Oh, okay, perfect. We're good. All right, and then how do I make this full screen? That first. Hello, Lance.
Hey, Mike, how are you, sir?
Good. So you can see the countdown timer. We will. I'm just going to mute out here for a second, and then when it hits 0, we'll start talking.
Sounds good.
All right. Thanks. that was pretty noisy.
Wow.
Yeah. All right. This now we just sit here and let people get coming in. We are live now. I was going to share the web page for How do I say it? Optimum.
Optum.
Optum.
Yeah.
And now,
OPTYM. Yep.
are you involved with Banyan at all anymore?
The founder of it, I still have equity in the company, but out of the day-to-day and operations on it. So, yeah, just kind of focused elsewhere now. So,
Excellent. I'm waiting for. Let me just ping my partner Ash.
sure.
We are up and live. You getting in? Okay. Another busy day here at Materials Exchange.
Excellent.
You know, it's
Lumber flying off the shelves.
the lumber market is very robust,
Awesome.
and you know the stage our business is in and the market that we're in. It reminds me of Mike Tyson every day, where he said, everyone has a plan until they get punched in the face.
Exactly right.
You wake up in the morning, you're like, you know what I'm going to do tomorrow? I'm going to do this and this. And then you wake up in the morning and you look at your phone, you're like, all right, I guess I'm going to start by taking care of that. And that.
I got through one of those 10 things on my list today. Yeah.
Exactly.
The good news is I'll be there tomorrow. So, yeah.
All right, there he is. Ashley.
Hey,
Buchholz.
Hey, Lance, how are you, man?
I'm good. How are you doing?
Ash,
Where are you at?
I'm in beautiful Cleveland, Ohio.
Oh, right on, man.
Gorgeous blanket of snow that covers the blight. So it's nice.
All right, well, let's get this started. It is Friday, everybody, which means it is, and it's noon. So that means it's the Friday Smart Market call. This is where we bring in a thought leader from the industry or an industry that matters to the lumber and structural panel market. But before we do that, we're going to hear from Ashley Buchholz, the man on the scene who's in the trenches. Ash, what
Hey, Mike.
have you seen since the last time we got together?
It's interesting. It's where wood is in the pipeline right now. And, great to have Lance on here because right now with the logistics, a lot of wood has been sold, but it's still sitting at distribution levels. It's still sitting at mills. It's having a hard time moving. So the price is still kind of fluid and volatile around the market. We always talk about a trade of the week. I'm going to talk about trades of the week. We sold over 40 truckloads of 23/32 Euro TNG, kind of becoming a dominant presence in moving European OSB. And this stuff moved all the way back to Wisconsin, Omaha, Illinois, Jacksonville, Florida. It moved all around. If you think about it, it's crazy because it's moving off of different ports on the East Coast, heading all the way back inland like that, passing up all kinds of production mills here in the United States and the mills that ship there out of the Western Canada down there. So, we are still the country. Yeah.
You can make the argument the domestic mills are locked out of this market.
Yeah. I mean, we've sold more
woods on contract.
Yeah, we've sold more contract wood out of retailers and different people than from any mills over the last few months. So it's pretty amazing the way that stuff is shifting around the country. Love to have the mills on selling, but right now it seems that they're kind of locked out of the market a little bit with all the contract wood moving around here.
So it's kind of ironic. They've preached that they want to control the flow of their wood. Ironically, seems like they're losing control of their wood because it's all under contract, and the permissions are not. The people who are going to make a decision on where that wood's going to go is not at the sawmill or the OSB mill anymore.
Yeah, I mean, wood likes to find buyers and sellers, and when one person has it that doesn't need it, they find somebody that needs it on Materials Exchange, and that's why we're a digital marketplace that's finding those digital relationships beyond what human beings can do.
So to kind of parlay into the conversation today, Ash, I'd like to talk about one of your frustrations this week, which is
just one of them.
Just one of them.
Okay.
We had a load that was dropped 4 times.
Yeah.
kind of understandable. We had that snowstorm that went directly through the lane that it was supposed to ship under. But we didn't have the visibility on that load when it was going to get dropped or if it was going to get dropped because of the connectivity with the carrier to the brokers to us. And that's what we're going to talk about here with Lance quite a bit is how do we improve?
It's crazy, Mike. So just real quick, I'll let you parlay this into Lance's conversation. And I won't say when it was because it'll show how old I am. But when I started in the business, I used to have a sheet of paper with 20 carriers next to my desk. And I'd call them, and they say, I'll get that load tomorrow. And if they got it, it was fine. If they didn't get it, they'd call me and tell me they couldn't get it, and they'd change it. Now it seems in the industry, everybody takes loads and never shows up, and then you never hear from them. And there's all this technology everybody talks about on these brokerage trading floors, and they say use our technology, but they're still just brokering stuff and nothing. And it seems like there's almost more failure now than there was in 1990 as far as accuracy. That's my view, but that's my frustration yesterday, Lance.
You're exactly right. Actually, there's whole indexes now that monitor load refusals. So when carriers are tender rejections, this is actually what they call FreightWaves has an index that the tender rejections are just spiking. So when people are looking for trucks and they just say, "Yeah, I'm good," or "I'll take it," and then I won't.
That could be because of a great economy we're in too, right?
It is.
And you know what? Everybody migrates to where the most money is and the easiest thing to do. And lumber may not be the most expensive and easiest haul, so they go haul something else, right? I understand human nature; it makes sense, but gosh darn it, quit dropping my loads.
All right, Ash, that's great insight. Appreciate the parlay or the segue for us. And we will talk to you next Friday.
Great. Thanks, Lance. Thanks,
awesome.
Mike.
Take care, man. Yeah.
All right, there it is.
Interesting the way, he's seeing that. It's exactly what everyone else is seeing. I think his comment on, people are going to shift to where, to where the money is. And we're seeing a ton of that happen in logistics. And that's really what's driving a lot of the congestion at the ports. Just to jump into that real quick, is kind of where this is coming from. The market is so hot from bringing stuff in from Asia into the U.S., the West Coast, that a ton of the shipping lines have started moving routes away from Europe, routes away from Africa, routes away from internal Asia, and they're just pushing more and more container traffic over to the West Coast. So on top of about 572 new container ships being built, there's 10 new market entrants that are coming into that Asia to U.S. West Coast run, because it's paying so well that's where they're putting everything. And of course, there's only so many ports that can get eyed, and so we're getting massive port congestion. That are just backed up. Average days it's about 101 days now from something leaving a factory in China to getting unloaded in the Port of Long Beach. It used to be 50 days, just to give it in context, a couple of years ago.
That's a big number. That's a big jump. So, before we get ahead of ourselves, who the heck are you and why are you on my show?
Yeah, I don't know. No, thanks. I appreciate it. Lance Healy. I had been serial entrepreneur for most of my life, and back at Ohio University, go Buckets. Had several businesses there, and had worked in technology. Had started a materials brokerage company. For construction materials, primarily in concrete, believe it or not, and concrete-related products back in the late 90s. And we needed a freight solution because all of our transactions were going to be anonymous. So we built this little software that allowed us to go out and capture rates in real time from carriers, LTL carriers primarily. And that was back in 1997, 98. And then construction market kind of tanked in 2001, if you all remember that. And we had a whole bunch of people that are like, hey, this is really cool freight software. Could we use it? And I was like, yeah, we should probably charge for this. So we just said, yeah, well, let's charge a subscription, I guess, like, $100 a month or something. People started to use it. 4 years later, somebody introduced the SaaS market, and they called us a SaaS model, and I was like, what the hell is that? And so it been operating as we kind of pioneered LTL direct connectivity about 20 years ago, and really built a company up to do that. And I've just been in that space for ever since. So logistics technology, left the company I started about a year ago, started a new venture with and partnered with Optum on some dynamic pricing tools. So yeah, and they have just a tremendous amount of algorithms, tools, primarily built for the LTL carrier market, but they also do work with railroads, airlines, mining, manufacturing companies, autonomous vehicles, just a whole lot of incredibly smart people that I'm lucky enough to work with and bring a whole new product to light. So
Well,
so that's it.
yeah, this actually brings us to why you're really here,
Yeah.
and it's to talk about the state of technology and logistics. Um, Lumber, historically and still true to this day, has been way behind the curve when it comes to adopting any sort of new technology.
Yeah.
So much though, so that we had to fire up a fax machine here in the office this week
Ooh.
because one of our users only will receive their invoices via fax.
Wow.
I know.
That's
Now,
wow.
anyway,
All right.
that sets the table here. But why I'm excited to have you here, Lance, is because the speed of change in logistics and technology it's going at a pace that the average person doesn't know, and the average person in lumber can't even wrap their head around.
Yeah.
But it's not being done by the mom and pop shops. I'm just looking at the names scrolling across on this website of yours. They're big dollars, and these are big companies making these changes. If we don't know about them, you're going to get left in the dust. And you don't have to be a big company to take advantage of this. So let's just, let's talk about the state of the industry as it stands today and how that is causing change in technology.
No, appreciate it. Yeah. So the biggest thing is everybody is at capacity. I don't care what mode you're in, parcel, LTL, full truckload, flatbed, rail, everyone is at capacity. So the power used to be in the shippers' hands, the manufacturers, distributors, and they could negotiate and leverage their buying volumes, et cetera, et cetera. Now it's squarely pegged over on the carrier side of the equation. So the carriers are saying in and across all modes, hey, I'm going to pick and choose who I do business with. The other thing that's, and I want to get back to that on some specific points there. The other thing is there's a ton of consolidation. The carriers have been tremendously profitable in the last couple of years. Rates have obviously gone up across the board. And so now that you're seeing not only consolidation within a given mode or a market, but also across modes. So Maersk is probably a big one. They're buying air cargo. They're buying inland logistics. They're buying brokerage divisions. They're buying things that are way outside of their normal offerings and trying to be much more holistic on the entire supply chain and controlling all aspects of that.
And I've got an idea why that's happening, and that's what I want to talk about next.
Yeah.
It's about connectivity.
It is.
Right?
It is.
And it's trying. We're in a digital world. Data should flow nice and easily, but for my company to flow data to your company, we got to connect the pipes, right?
Yeah, that's exactly right.
There's generally resistance and apprehension and suspect of each other. So if you're the big company, you're like, you don't want to connect with me? How about I just buy you? And then I can vertically integrate the whole thing.
And it does expand out their offerings. Yeah, that and it really it improves operation. The more seamless the data flow, the more efficient it is for everyone. So it was part of the promise of blockchain, but blockchain was a lot like RFID. It was really expensive, and unless there's a specific use case, who's actually going to pay for it? Um, but yeah, the connectivity is the key. And you see Daysky that has consolidated a huge amount of flatbed capacity. That's especially germane for you all, in the lumber markets. But over the last, since about 2008, they have just been growing like crazy and acquiring, massive amounts of companies. And now they're publicly traded and they're openly trying to buy more and more flatbed capacity. All of that consolidation comes in with now applying, more technology resources. How did their operations become more efficient? And if you don't want your load dropped, 4 times on a given move of a cross country, it's how do you plug in to get that visibility? How do you plug into their operations? How do you exchange data seamlessly? Not only tendering, shopping and tendering it, but also on the tracking perspective. And there is a ton of technology out there right now that's very, very accessible.
All right, we got our first question, which
All right.
parlays right into what you're talking
Oh
about.
yeah, yeah.
So we're talking about autonomous truck driving.
Yeah, yeah. So
Have you heard of Too Simple?
oh yeah, yeah, yeah. No, they're definitely on the more advanced side for sure. The I think there's there's a huge if you look at a reluctance between Congress allowing um, someone under the age of 25 to get a commercial truck driving license. That prevents a huge swath of potential folks to get online because they're concerned about safety factors. Um, then you can imagine what we're going to get into with autonomous vehicles and those types of things. I think they're great. It's definitely coming in the future that'll fix a lot of driver shortage issues if they allow the actual autonomous trucks to drive without a driver. And there's talk about still having a professional driver in the cab just as a safety measure, which then doesn't fix anything about the driver shortage. So the what's going to come as a result of it is going to be how Congress treats and how they deal with allowing the autonomous trucks to do what they're going to be very good at. There's still some question marks on whether they can tell a snowflake from a 3-year-old running in front of all the sensors. But until they work that out, it's going to be promising. It's coming. It'll be here.
Yeah, no doubt. So, this connectivity theme, this tracking theme, this visibility theme. There's TMS, which you
Oh yeah,
basically started one way back when.
yeah.
That's if someone's going to make the first step into adding some tech to their logistics. I mean, it's got to be adding a TMS, transportation management system.
Management system. You're exactly right, Mike. Yeah, and it's honestly it's the easiest thing to do. There's so many of them now that are web based. They can tack it in. They have easy API connections, and API is just application programming interface. Just a little geek out moment there, but essentially it allows the easy mapping of fields between a legacy system and anyone else outside of your system, and it's a controlled way. It essentially works like a cell phone conversation versus mailing a letter. So if EDI, faxes, any of these kind of what we call batch communications, it basically says, hey, I'm going to put this in, I'm going to send it over to somebody, they're going to unwrap it, they're going to look at it, and then I'll write you another letter back, go put it in a mailbox, and then send it in. And that type of communication is really, really slow and often outdated by the time it gets there. And so APIs, it essentially holds a connection open. So it allows the two computer systems to talk and have a short conversation and exchange data back and forth to be able to say, hey, here's what I need from you. Are you confirming this? Yes, I got it. Great, cool, we're done. All right, boom.
this all alludes to what we were talking about and getting ready for this
Yeah.
is be easy. Be easy
Yes.
to do business with on both sides of the equation. And the small investment, I'm going to say small investment in some sort of technology to make yourself easy to do business with, what you alluded to is it's going to pay off because you're going to get better rates.
Yeah, you're going to get better rates. You're going to be easy to do business with. And that's really where carriers have the power right now. They can choose, do I want to work with this person that has a 45-minute dwell time every time I go to their facility? And I've got to get a bunch of paper information, which I now have to take back and either OCR or transcribe all that data back in. So I have to pay a clerk to go do that, or somebody that's going to give me the data digitally, electronically, automatically put it into my system. I know when I can feed them updates. I know when I'm coming to get the freight. They know when I'm there. I know when I'm leaving. And it helps everyone's operations be more efficient. There are a ton of applications that can be accessed. Some are sponsored by brokers. Some you can license from a TMS system. Again, that's just web-based for a small subscription fee a month. It makes all the difference, and it will make an ongoing difference once, as you're working with your vendors, your suppliers, to say, hey, I can handle order exchanges, I can handle invoicing, I can handle all these things digitally, and so it just speeds up the whole process.
And there's less errors.
Absolutely.
Computers aren't that smart. They can't think for themselves, but what they can do is do the same thing over and over and over and over and over, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and not make a mistake.
Yeah.
Which, when you start thinking, going back to be easy to do business with externally, be easy internally.
Yes. Yeah. Internal stakeholders. And when you've got a TMS system, we give the ability to track and check out any order. And if it's online based, you can invite anyone else in your company that may need access to that data. So you don't have to track down the guy at the shipping dock who says, hey, can you go pull that paper bill of lading for me, from 2 weeks ago? It can be self-service across the organization. And that makes the whole thing.
What Ashley just experienced, where the customer calls and said, "Where's my truck?" We check on it. Oh, it got dropped. It would be a much better situation where we are calling the customer saying they dropped this again.
Yep.
And there's a snowstorm went through. It's understandable. We just found out about it. We're on it.
Right. And you can be proactive about it. I mean, that just makes you a better supplier, better business person, right? For your customers. Yeah. All that is possible. It's
right. It takes a little bit of upfront cash investment, and it takes some setup. Absolutely. And I'm generally not a fan of consultants, but in cases like this is where the consultant is your best friend. Why do you think you could be the expert on something like this? Bring in an expert, get yourself set up, and it's going to pay dividends down the road.
Yeah. And a lot of time it's, go ahead. Yeah.
And require it of your vendors.
Yes.
Require it of the other stakeholders in your business.
Yeah. And talk to them and ask them, hey, what are you guys using? What have and talk to your partners, talk to your customers, talk to your vendors, and find out what they like. Because if they're already using a system and all of a sudden you find out that, man, four of my 5 main vendors are on this platform or using this type of technology, then that's where you want to start your look. That's where you want to start your hunt.
The big guys are doing this. I mean, there's companies that I know of that may rhyme with Rome Repo that they're taking control of their supply chain down to the fact that you told us Home Depot bought a vessel. They
bought their own ship. I'm just waiting to see if they paint it orange. But
that shows the importance of this to a company like Home Depot wants control of their supply chain. I know that historically the producers of materials have been the shipper and the consignee, or not consignee, the shipper of record on material.
Yep. Mhm.
You take Home Depot's reaching downstream. They're like, no, no, no. We will pick it up at your location, so
Yeah.
we own it and control it, and we can. Um, now
Well, and the
it's
markups and everything that they're saving along the way, that just increases their own profitability because everybody's adding a little bit into that chain. So, that's certainly helpful if you've got the cash to be able to do that and the
absolutely,
expertise.
but
So, yeah.
there are so many things you can do small, which
Yeah.
get a TMS number one.
Yes.
Connect up
Yes.
and do business with other technologically advanced companies.
Hmm. Yep.
Um,
Yeah.
be easy to do business with. Get control of your supply chain.
Yeah.
Have visibility.
Yep. And there are applications, Project 44, Four Kites, MacroPoint are three probably the big dogs, Descartes, MacroPoint, and they have essentially designed specifically for truckload tracking that you can sign up with them. There's an app that the drivers can download. A lot of them probably already have one or all of them downloaded, and you can enable tracking to see where your truck is, see where the ETAs are, all that type of thing, and it's very, very reasonably priced, without having to actually go out and buy trucks. You can get there are a lot of technology you can go out and get more control and better visibility.
So, question. Let's
Yeah,
say you snap your fingers and now you are in charge of logistics or inbound
sweet.
up on something at a
Hmm.
5-chain lumber dealer,
Hmm. Yep.
and they have nothing in place. Like, what's the
Awesome.
first thing you're going to do?
Um, First thing, whatever the order management, kind of ERP system, maybe it's an AS400 and somebody's doing F8, tab, 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 that kind of thing. That's fine. You can leave that in place. You don't need to upend all the technology. You just need a layer to bolt on top of it that allows API connectivity. And once you have that API layer that connect with that, now you can transmit orders very, very effectively electronically. You can communicate with a TMS system that can bolt on. And I really look at evaluating the type of TMS system you want based on what are your operational needs. So if you're 80% truckload and 20% LTL and you got a little bit of parcel, make sure you find that TMS system that's going to fit your operational needs. If you're doing barge traffic, if you're doing something else, specifically look for what's going to serve your business best. But it's out there, and there's 167 different TMS systems on the market today, and they all have very subtle nuances and things they're good at and things they don't. So just be clear on what you need to make your business successful, and then go out and look for that. Um, yeah, and talk
Perfect.
to your peers. Yeah,
Yeah, perfect.
yeah.
So, I like to wrap up here. We're at the 30-minute mark.
Sure.
Question is, what do you see coming down the pipe? You're
Mm-hmm.
you're way out in front of everyone compared to where we
Uh,
are at. What do you see on the horizon that we don't see yet? Like, what are
yeah.
we gonna go? Aha! 2 years ago, that didn't.
Yeah, right. God, I hope it's not that long. But yeah, no, it is. It's customer of choice is going to translate into um, better profitability, and better access to inventory, materials, and customers. And what that means is being an integrated part. It's understanding what are the profit levers of your suppliers, as well as your customers, and then understanding, hey, if I give you notice or if I can schedule appointment times more easily, that's going to make me a preferred vendor for my customers. If I can do the same thing upstream with my suppliers, how do I communicate with you? What's your expectation on how quickly you want to get unloaded and back on the road? If your expectation in the LTL world is 12 minutes and I'm holding you for 45 minutes, that's a problem.
Yeah.
But it's understanding what it costs on missed pickups, understanding. So when you're able to be a customer of choice because you understand how your suppliers operate as well as how your customers operate. That's going to really tie you in deep beyond just the relationships, beyond the technology, but as real business partners.
So
That's what's
basically,
happening.
be
Yeah.
the best dancer at the dance.
Yeah. It goes with the music. So yeah.
Perfect. I mean, that is sage advice. Lance, I really appreciate you taking a half an hour out of your day to spend it with us. If
Pleasure.
anyone wants to get in touch with Lance, they can find him on LinkedIn, Lance
Yeah.
Healy.
Yeah.
The company Optum that he's working with they're a powerhouse. They can do some massively cool things as far as automation and taking decision making out of the emotion and into make it rule based and make it
Yeah.
logical.
Yeah. Intensely logical. So yeah, it's fun stuff. All right. Mike, thanks so much for having me. I really appreciate it, man. All
No
right.
problem. Everybody, we'll see you next Friday. And between now and then, take care and
All right.
have a great week.
Have a great week.